House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. It is Friday, January 19th. And as per our normal schedule, we'll be inviting Wiley Barzilay, our University of Vermont intern, to provide us with his summary of the work he has been doing this week. So Wiley, please join us. Well, you get a good assortment of duties this week. I hope I didn't overtax you too much.
I made it work.
Okay, good. I mean,
Yeah.
beginning week, I was like, I don't know, it's gonna be a boring week, Wiley, I don't know.
I wasn't able to get to the longer report, the
That's-
70-page one, but
That's fine.
I think I covered the other stuff well. I guess we shall see.
Good. Thank you.
And yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for having me, as always. For the record, Wiley Barzilay, UVM legislative intern. Yeah, you can just jump right in. So the first thing that I looked at was a report by Advance Vermont, which is a statewide partnership of a variety of different groups focused on the shared goal of increasing educational attainment throughout the state. And the report was a 5-page report that they are required to put together for the legislature. They identify several problems that the state is currently facing that they're intent on addressing. Between 2020 and 2030, there will be approximately 82,000 openings for Vermont's most promising jobs, which they identify as jobs overwhelmingly requiring some sort of post-secondary training or credential.
What's that number again?
82,000 between 2020 and 2030. There will be 82,000 openings for Vermont's most promising jobs.
Well, not.
Yeah, it's a lot. Examples of that include like nurses, teachers, accountants, construction jobs, most jobs that are going to require something past a high school diploma.
Okay.
They're also intent on fulfilling a 2019 legislative goal to have 70% of working age Vermonters holding a credential of value, which is any sort of post-secondary credential by 2025. As of 2021, that figure sits at 59%. So as of 2021, the state was 11% short. The report does not say where we are at as of 2024. And as of 2022, only 48% of Vermont students enrolled in college immediately following their senior year. Additionally, 74% of young adults nationally said college was very important to them in 10 years ago. In 2023, that number had fallen to 41%. So there's a clear lack of interest among young adults, both nationally and in Vermont, in pursuing
And that's
post-secondary
national
education.
number you're saying?
Yeah, that's a New York Times study, but only 48% of Vermonters enrolled in college immediately after their senior year, which sort of parallels that figure. Advance Vermont identifies several different strategies that they're undergoing, I suppose, to help sort of resolve those goals. The first of which is awareness. They do that primarily through their website, My Futures Vermont, which is a free online career and educational resource maintained by Advance Vermont. In 2023, the site saw 73,000 users, which was an 82% jump from 2022. So it's been experiencing some like large growth. It's available in the top 8 spoken languages in Vermont, and it provides information about various different career paths and post-secondary credentials to both employers and job seekers. A comprehensive review of the site is currently in the works, and they plan to complete that and release it sometime in early 2024. Their second major strategy is outreach, and they have 2 methods of outreach. The first is relevant contact with relevant business, educational, governmental, and community organizations. They do that through a email newsletter sent out regularly to update their partner organizations on the state of Vermont's post-secondary educational environment at large, as well as their specific programs and approaches, as well as incorporating their work and their research into specific direct service providers such as the Department of Labor, the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation, school counselors, et cetera. They also hold training and exhibitions at career-oriented events across the state, both hosted by them and at third-party events. Events have been organized for Vermont School Counselors Association Conference, the Department of Labor staff, students and families at Champlain Valley Union High School and surrounding schools, etc. They also engage in collaboration with organizations in developing their own career development programs. Some examples include partnering with Vermont After School to assist in the development of its own career-focused after school and summer curriculum, and cooperation with the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund to increase awareness of sustainable forestry and food system careers around the state. And finally, Advanced Vermont operates 2 data collection and organization platforms. The first is their data dashboard, which is an online resource designed to keep track of various educational attainment indicators across the state. It specifically tracks 26 indicators, not limited to, but including rates of educational attainment by race, by gender, by age, among a variety of other indicators. They also operate the Vermont Credential Transparency Project, which catalogs all, or attempts to catalog all post-secondary credentials across the state. This is to assist both employers and workers in the hiring and job search process. Currently, they have about 431 credentials published, but that's not a comprehensive number, and they intend to add another 400 by early 2024, which would round it out to about the total. I also took a look at a meeting of the Senate Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs on unemployment insurance wait times that the Department of Labor has been experiencing. It opened with a testimony by Michael Harrington, who is the commissioner of the Department of Labor, as I'm sure you're probably aware. He started by discussing the 40-year-old system that the Department of Labor currently operates, which is very prone to error when interacting with their other systems, and it being 40 years old is quite inefficient. Specific focus was paid to an issue that the Department of Labor faced in December, where the system was only processing every other name for unemployment insurance, which obviously creates some problems. The good news is that they have mostly resolved that issue, but around 10% of those locked out as of the meeting, which was Wednesday, are still unable to claim the benefits that they are entitled to, but the Department of Labor is committed to ensuring that everyone who has not been able to access their benefits is able to access them at a certain point. Denise Riley Hughes, who's the Secretary of the Agency of Digital Services, identified 3 priority solutions the Department of Labor is focused on to resolve these technical issues. The first is addressing the backlog and getting claimants paid on time, which involves just working through their backlog and calling people and ensuring everyone that has missed their payments or was not addressed initially is addressed. The second is to establish stability. They need the system to function for the next several years before they can replace it, so they need it to operate in a stable manner. When asked by the committee what the risk of a large-scale system error was, they said that currently the risk was orange to red, which is obviously not great, but they also identified stabilization as a critical priority and said stable would mean getting it to yellow risk. The sense that I got is that because of the age of the system, it's sort of impossible to get it operating smoothly 100% of the time. And that's why their third goal is a modernization and replacement of the system, which is going to take a few years. They're currently awaiting green light on a contract with a third-party development firm. They weren't able to give that many details because the negotiations were ongoing, but they're optimistic that that new system will work much better than the current one. Moving on to just some questions that they received from the committee, which I think are relevant. They were asked what the status of the phone system was currently. They specifically wanted to address a misconception that staff stop answering calls at 4:30 p.m. when the office closes. That's not true. Staff will stay until 6 p.m. when their system shuts down to answer calls in the queue, and all others will receive a call back before we're within the next 24 hours. So everyone who calls will eventually be heard, even if they do call after 4:30 or they're not immediately addressed. They were also asked what the current average hold time is. The maximum is around 4 hours. The average is 2.5. So it's quite a long time for people currently, though they have gotten it down in the last several months. They were asked how people will know if their call will be returned, even if they call after 4:30. They've recently sent a mass email to the whole claimant population, informing them to stay on the line. Your call will be answered. And they will call back multiple times to people if they don't pick up initially. They tend to be pretty persistent, is the sense that I got. They were also asked what the number of the whole claimant population was. The numbers are always in flux according to them, as people must register and file every week, and some people will file and then they'll go move into the labor force. So the numbers can change week to week, but generally in recent weeks, it's been between 3,500 and 4,000 people. Pre-pandemic, that number was around 5,000 to 6,000. So it has gone down due to the tight labor market that the country and Vermont are experiencing nationally. They were asked, what is the number of late backlog payments? They think it's hard to say exactly, but their gut feeling is around 200 to 350 people currently, though they hope that it is certainly less than that. They were asked how many people are still out of work as a result of the flood, which again is a sort of hard figure to answer according to them, but they say that immediately after the flood, roughly 1,500 people qualified for regular unemployment insurance. That number has definitely gone down since then. A lot of people have been pushed back to work because of the 26-week benefit cap within the year. And so, yeah, not that many people who lost their job, most of them have gone back to work, and any who have not gone back to work, a lot of them have moved into different career fields or into a different job. So the number is likely quite low, but they couldn't say for sure. There was a specific emphasis placed on developing a sort of dashboard on the Department of Labor website that would inform people of average wait time, the number of claimants, time until processing, both for the public and for legislatures. And they actually launched something like that the day of the meeting. So it didn't necessarily include everything that the committee wanted. There was some questions about including the average time for adjudications and eligibility issues. And they said that that would be a little trickier and that they would look into it, but that wasn't immediately available. Right now, the issue with that, implementing that system for them, is balancing releasing information quickly and releasing information that is accurate, as it often takes them a little bit of time to actually nail down specific numbers on call times and other figures. And so they're constantly doing a little balancing act with that. They were also asked if there is a communication channel for caseworkers, such as people at Vermont Legal Aid, who sort of help those who are accessing unemployment insurance. The answer is sort of. There's not a direct formalized communication channel, but the Department of Labor is always engaging with those organizations in a sort of regular manner. They're party to that email list that I talked about earlier, and there's always a direct communication. The issue is that confidentiality prevents the Department of Labor from releasing information about people's claims just to anyone. They have to sort of verify who is actually asking and whether they're asking on behalf of the person claiming unemployment insurance or not. But they've recently added a dedicated unemployment insurance communication staff member to sort of help with more direct communication, and their primary goal is just increasing the timeliness and instantaneousness of communication between themselves and partner organizations, claimants, and the public. The final meeting that I took a look at was a Senate Committee on Agriculture meeting relating to H81, which is the Fair Repair Act. Just a brief summary of that law. It mandates that original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs, require or that provide access to parts, tools, documents to independent repair providers and owners in the same manner that they would to authorized repair providers, which is currently how the system works in Vermont. OEMs cannot impose like unreasonable burdens on independent repair providers or owners when providing those parts that discourage or disincentivize repairs, and they cannot impose costs that would make it unfairly burdensome on independent repair providers or owners. They intentionally leave the language vague in certain sections, such as the cost to access parts, tools, and documents must be fair to both parties. That language is left vague to allow room for negotiations that balance the needs of both groups. They don't want to harm the manufacturers or limit the independent repair providers too stringently. The law does not require OEMs to divulge trade secrets in providing access to repair equipment. It does not invalidate warranty agreements between OEMs and authorized repair providers, and independent repair providers or owners may not alter the equipment in illegal ways, such as tampering with the emissions requirements and reselling them or disabling safety systems. They can't just do anything to the equipment if it violates the law. And then just some questions, comments, and concerns from the committee. It was asked whether equipment purchased out of state but used in state is still subject to the law. The answer, yes. It was asked how the law would affect foreign manufacturers of equipment. The answer was that despite foreign like a lot of agricultural equipment being produced overseas by foreign manufacturers, it's almost overwhelmingly sold within the US, either by a foreign company or by a US subsidiary. And so those subsidiaries or foreign companies would be held accountable if they were to not comply with the law, despite the equipment being manufactured overseas. This was, I think, probably the most important question asked. It was asked if a piece of equipment is under warranty, but it is taken to an independent shop or repaired by the owner of the equipment and they damage the equipment while attempting to repair it, is the warranty still valid? And the answer is no. If you damage the equipment, even if, despite the law, it still would violate that warranty, as well as the warranty is not going to cover the costs of those repairs. And so there is still an incentive to go to those authorized repair providers if they have a warranty agreement with the OEM. And there's also currently several memorandums of understanding between manufacturers and the American Farm Bureau Federation related to vehicle repair. That was brought up by a committee member, and it was just suggested that was looked into by the drafters of the law in case it interacted with it. I think that was pretty much all the detail provided. And yeah, that's what I did this week. Yeah.
Would you like a cookie?
I would like a cookie. They look really good. Sure.
Very good, Wiley. That was great information. And who, do you have, the names of the people who asked some of those questions and like who are specifically asking the questions regarding the farm equipment?
Oh, I don't have the names for the Senate Agricultural
Okay,
Committee.
That's fine.
But the presentation was done by Rick Segal.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the Office of Legislative Counsel. And I do have the names for the other meeting if you'd like. Yeah.
Last year that bill was in here.
Right. Yeah, it seems like a really like interesting piece of legislation. It's not something that I had ever really thought about, but it seemed very relevant for.
Do you have any questions for Wiley?
You're very thorough.
Appreciate
I got an
Yeah.
email from Heather J saying that said that you're rocking it though.
Thank you. Well, yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
listening.
great,
tonight.
so
Thanks
great
for having me.
information. Just so everyone knows, I'm gonna go out to lunch with Wiley today and anyone's welcome to join us.
Thank you.
I know the chair has another lunch obligation, so. But, yeah, we'll be heading out as soon as we get in touch.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, and thanks for the refresher on right to repair.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time on that as well as
Yes, we do.
house agriculture. There's a lot of time put into that bill.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
happy to see that House Ag is at least taking a look at it, and I hope they plan on continuing to work on it, so.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Wiley.
Before we go to the floor, I just want to run through just reminders for the committee. If people are needing to get up and go, that's fine, but if you're planning on getting up and not coming back, I need to know, or Stephanie needs to know, what's going on, so we can fill you in case there's something we might need you back for. If something might be coming up, so make sure that you let us know. And you can either let us know verbally, face to face, or you can let us know through a text, or let us know through email if you use email. Either email me, copy Stephanie and Andrew on it. But Andrew's not the gatekeeper. I am, and Stephanie, so let us know, but copy Andrew on it too. So, again, everybody's doing a good job with, needing to be recognized, not jumping in. I appreciate that. I think it makes things flow better. Just make sure that, when you're setting up your question, that you don't extend it too long, especially when we have a big room of people waiting to testify. So set your question up, but be as brief as possible as you can on that, before you ask your question. I apologize ahead of time if I have to cut somebody off, because of time constraints, but that happens not very often, but once in a while it does. Any questions from anyone? Okay, we're done for now. We'll be back after the floor. So we're gonna take a look at, DFR will be in chatting with us about, climate change and how that relates to property and casualty insurance. And then give us an update on a couple of the bills that we passed last year, that we won't get final reports on until next year, but, you know, the auto parts issue, those issues. Not sure if the AG is going to be able to come in and chat with us today on S30. We're hoping that they will. If not, that'll be put off until, not S30, H666. So hopefully, if they can't come, we'll get them set up for next week. But I know that we have, Aaron Furnick from Deputy Commissioner of Banking and Insurance, Banking and DFR coming in. I think maybe we can have more discussions on surety bonds, how they work. I don't know how much in depth you all got last Friday, but, maybe we need to a little better understand if he's not the right person, we find the right person who's out there that can fill us in a little better on the surety bond there. So, we're on the floor at 9:30, 10 minutes after the floor, be back in here for good information on what's going on, climate change and property and casualty insurance.